gal, and do you like your plants dark and mysterious? Well, stick around for this video because this is an easy house plant with almost black foliage. And as usual, there's a blog post to go along with this video that has a lot more details for you on this plant. You can find it just by clicking show more down below the video. It'll open up and there'll be a bunch of links there waiting for you, or on our website, joyousgarden.com. All right, so here's the plant here. I'm just going to stand to the side because it's kind of hard to get in frame also, but I'll jump in there at some point. But it starts with sort of an upright growth. I've had this plant for over a year now. It starts with actually complete upright growth, and as it starts to age and grow, and as the stems get bigger, they just sort of bend gracefully. This one, the size is, it is in a 10-inch pot. At the tallest point, it's 44 inches, and it's about 3 to 4 feet tall. My other ZZ plant, the one I've had for 6 years now, is well over 4 feet tall, and it's over 5 feet wide, so they do take up a little bit of space as they grow. Just so you can get an idea of how much space a ZZ plant can eventually take up, and this is the ZZ I divided about 6 years ago, and it takes up the entire corner next to my fireplace. Okay, well, I'll just jump on in here. Usually I'm doing a smaller plant, so I can just have it on the table, but this one is big. But speaking of growth rate, this one is a slow grower. ZZ plants put out their new growth very slowly. And how this plant is used, it can start out as a tabletop plant if it's in a 6-inch pot or even an 8-inch. And then as it grows and gets bigger, it actually becomes a low, wide floor plant. And I always like to mention what the big draw of a plant is. Well, this is obvious. The shiny foliage and the almost black foliage, I'd call it bronze. It's very hard to find in houseplants. So this one is one that really stands out. And I'm going to show you something else which is really fun about this plant. This is new growth. It's a new leaf stem, and you can see how the foliage looks just like the ZZ plant, the green ZZ plant, just glossy light green, medium green, and then it ages to this color. So it's a slow process too. So all of a sudden you'll see darkness starting to appear on the leaves, and then it'll turn into this color, which is another fun aspect of this plant. Okay, so I don't know if this is any better, but I have so many plants in the background. I have a lot of plants out in the garden too, because I'm about to start phase 2 of my garden project. I just had the pool deck redone, so that looks a lot better than it did. So onward with the outdoor plants, my true love. So we're gonna go to light requirements for this plant. Like most indoor plants, bright indirect sunlight is the sweet spot. Mine sits probably about 7 feet away from a huge picture window that is north facing, and about 14 or 15 feet away from a trio of south facing windows. Gets a lot of nice light because I live in Tucson, which is one of the sunniest cities in the world, so there's no shortage of sunlight here. Now for watering, I have 3 words for you. Easy does it on the watering. My plant went through a really funky phase. I thought I was going to lose it. Soon after I first got it, it was planted in all peat moss, which is what some of the growers do, but peat moss, it's really hard to control the moisture if it's planted in strictly in peat moss. So I repotted it, and that helped it to dry out, and it brought the plant back. But as I said, it's a slow process because these grow slowly. But you want it to really dry out in between waterings because this plant grows by rhizomes, which stores water. So the last thing you want to do is water this plant too often. I water mine in the summer here in Tucson probably every 2 weeks. In the winter, it might be every 3 to 4 weeks. So in terms of temperatures, as I say, average home temps are usually just fine. I tend to keep my house on the warmer side. I like it. It's a good thing I live in the desert, right? And I think that combined, with the sunshine, is what makes my plants grow so fast, because some of them grow really fast. But anyway, on to humidity. And this plant prefers a lot more than is here. Most houseplants prefer it about 50 or 60%. Today, the humidity is 15%, so it's low. But regardless, this plant still looks fine. And it's putting out, it's got 4 new leaves emerging. As I said, it's a slow process. So in terms of soil, it likes sort of a chunky rich soil. I usually do about 3/4 potting soil and 1/4 of the succulent and cactus mix I make up, which has cocoa fiber and cocoa chips. No, not cocoa fiber. I keep on calling it cocoa fiber. It's cocoa coir and cocoa head chips, so it has some chunk to it. It also has some pumice in it, which is a nice big granule style, and that's what makes this plant happy. And of course, I throw in some compost and some worm compost. And in terms of repotting, because it does grow slow, I do it maybe every 5 years. I did repot this one, as I said, the first or second month after I got it, just to get it out of the straight peat moss. But you can tell when if it's getting pot bound, because the roots are very thick too, so it will appreciate a pot. But I don't repot mine every year at all. I do it, as I said, every 4 to 6 years probably on the average. And I always do it in spring, summer, and early fall. I just avoid the winter because it's not the best time. If something happens and you have to repot in winter, fine. It's just not the optimum time. In terms of pests, mine have never gotten any. I have 2 green ZZ plants. One is the parent plant because I did the dividing on it, and the other one is a baby. And then I have this one here too, and they have never gotten anything at all. But I know that they can be susceptible to mealybugs, aphids, scale, and spider mites. Keep your eyes out for those. I've done posts on all of those things you don't want hanging around on your plants, and you can find that on the website joyousgarden.com. And the last thing I want to talk about here is pet safety, because a lot of you have pets like I do, and this one, like most houseplants, is considered to be toxic to pets. My cats pay no attention to this plant at all. My cat Tazzy likes spider plants, but they're non-toxic, so I don't mind if he chews on it every now and then. But just watch it on this plant. I get my information from the ASPCA, so you can check their website out also to see what they have to say about other plants. And I have also done a post on 11 pet-friendly houseplants, and then I've also done I think that's it, yes. 11 pet-friendly houseplants, and then I did a post on houseplant, just my thoughts on it and things for you to think about. And both of those will be listed below, I hope, but they will definitely be in the blog post. Okay, so one close-up look at this gorgeous foliage. So nice and shiny. And this is one plant you do want to keep clean because it does shine like crazy. I just either put mine out in the rain, when the monsoons come, or else I'll just take in the shower and give it a good spray down, and it just, makes it look oh so nice. Just don't use commercial leaf shine because that clogs the pores. You don't want that. You want the pores of the plant to be able to breathe. You can also take a microfiber cloth or something and just brush off the leaves too, and it'll look oh so much more beautiful than it even looks now. Okay, so that's about it on the black ZZ plant. It's a very easy care plant. Obviously, you gotta love a plant you don't have to water a lot. Yes, please. Actually, overwatering is the enemy of this plant. And as I said, just nice, good, strong, medium light is good. I don't know what happens if you have it in too low light, because oftentimes it'll lose, plants lose, variegation or their color. So I don't know if it'll go paler in low light. I haven't tried that. The ZZ plant is oftentimes billed as a low light plant, but I find it does a lot better in moderate light. It looks a lot better because plants tend to get leggy in lower light anyway. And this one is a floppy one. So I try to give it some nice, light just because I want it to look good, and it has some new growth coming on it. So hopefully it'll fill back in and be looking really good in a year or so.